My name is Sam Nelson. I am studying biomedical engineering. My history and kind of service with Youthlinc started in 2016. My aunt was a team leader on one of the international teams to Madagascar. She had absolutely loved it. She said, "You should do this." I said, "Okay, I think I want to." But part of the deal with Youthlinc is when you go on these trips, you have to do 80 hours of local service before you go. So I applied to Shriners Hospital for Children. I started up in the inpatient unit Monday evenings from 4 to 7. I was there to kind of help the inpatient staff with whatever they needed doing. As the name says, Shriners Hospital for Children. A lot of our patients were young, and sometimes the hospital is a scary place, especially at night. But we'd go in and we'd play games, and we'd read books, we'd do crafts. A couple months after I started volunteering with Child Life Services, which is still in Shriners Hospital, but it was during the day and not with the inpatient unit. But as Child Life Services, we would kind of interact with our patients that were there for long durations. But we had one day where I got there, we started blowing bubbles outside, because everybody loves bubbles. But while we're blowing bubbles outside, one of her cousins came outside. Okay, well, now we're blowing bubbles with her and her cousin, and then her cousin's friend came, and then the cousin's friend's cousin came, and then the cousin's friend's cousin's friend came, and we had a whole big wild party outside, blowing bubbles and playing games and a lot of chalk art. Everybody was having fun. What that service means to me is, it's kind of the age-old story of when I'm having a bad day, for whatever reason, and you go, and even if you're not feeling it to begin with, you generally feel it by the end. And I think one of the things about service like this, and maybe just service in general, is that even when you do little things like that, a lot of the times you don't see what comes after. And so it's kind of those little interactions that self-propagate that you'll probably never see. You'll never see what comes of it, but it does happen, and you can feel it. When Shriners Hospital for Children stopped allowing volunteers, there was a period of about 2 months where I wasn't able to do anything, but then I started emailing around, and usually I got the same response: thanks for your interest, but we're not taking anybody because of COVID. And that was when I got a response from the Malihe Free Clinic, and they said, "Yeah, sure, come on down. We'd love to interview you, see what you like to do." And started 2 weeks later, started up in the resource team. It was an interesting experience because even though we still technically were quarantining, people would come in, and it was a time where you could get to know somebody. Can't talk to people at the grocery store, everybody runs away. But at the clinic you could. You had to. If we wanted to do what we did best, you had to get to know the people you're working with, but also the patients you're with. Because there's generally so much happening, even with just one patient. So as a free clinic, we are required to verify the income of all of our patients to make sure that we are helping the population that we said we were helping. It's the second least favorite part of my responsibilities there, the number one responsibility being, sorry, we can't see you anymore. But so starting my 5th year, going into my graduate year and studying biomedical engineering, there's kind of a dichotomy in innovation, because on one hand we have the really high-tech medical devices, right? Like the really fancy new MRI, and they've got the stem cells that grow into any shape you want. But there's kind of another side to medical device innovation, and that idea is, instead of making new, more expensive things, you take things that already exist and you make them cheaper, so you can send those out kind of more worldwide. I think in the future, continuing to take these devices that we have and making them more affordable and making them more rugged so that we can get them out outside of the US will probably end up being what does the most good. I wouldn't be able to volunteer at Shriners or Malihe if we didn't have scholarships like these, because my time would necessarily be devoted elsewhere. The bank account says they're giving money. In actuality, they're giving time, and they're giving experiences that exceed whatever amount comes after that dollar sign.